Hey guys, we're just going to go through a quick video looking at range of motion assessment. So firstly looking at some tools that we use to measure range of motion and flexibility, and then a couple of examples of comparing active and passive range of motion. So first and foremost, we're just going to go through a couple of common tools that are used to measure range of motion or flexibility. First and foremost, we have this guy here, which is a goniometer. You'll come across these in the lab classes, and it's a really good idea. We can obviously watch this video before coming to the labs, but you can always refer back to this video as well. So the goniometer has two parts, essentially one part which is immovable, which is this arm here attached to the large sort of disc, and then we have this movable arm that sits on top. So the way that you use your goniometer is you place the axis of rotation of the movable arm on the immovable arm over the joint axis of rotation that you're interested in, and then you can place one of the arms along one line of the joint and then use the movable arm to move with the moving part of the joint. So I'll give you a better example of that in just a second. But first and foremost, just how you read the goniometer is really important. So, do you see that?
Yeah, just scrolling. Yep.
So
Just
guys,
coming on.
if you can see on here, we have obviously some numbers, which is just degrees of measurement. So when we move the movable arm, like so, we get an angle here, okay? Now if you think back to high school and basic geometry, remember obviously a 90-degree angle is here. This would be all the way around to 180 degrees, and if we would take the arm all the way around, we'd get 360 degrees of rotation, okay? So obviously for most joints, we're going to be talking about somewhere between 0 and 180 or 0 and 90 degrees range of motion. So just keep that in mind when you're reading your numbers. Remember whether it sort of sounds realistic or not. So for example, if we had a joint that had this kind of range of motion here, we'd be looking at these numbers, and we've got two to choose from. It could either be 80 degrees or the number below 280. So obviously here we're slightly less than 90, so we should know that the main or the measure that we should take is 80 degrees range of motion. Another piece of equipment that we might use to measure range of motion is this guy here, which is called an inclinometer. Now this is a magnetic inclinometer. We can also have a digital inclinometer. They essentially do the exact same thing. So we can see we have a reference value at the top, and if we orientate it like this, that's starting at 0. And then we can place this on top of a joint, on top of a movable arm of a joint, and then go through range of motion, and you can see how we can then take a reading from there. We'll show you a couple of examples of when you would use this versus when you would use this.